Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon Jailbird HD, and today I am proud to bring you Major League Pokemon Season 7, Week 1 for your Los Angeles Lookers. Our team this season is going to be Dankforce Landorus, Z Manaphy, Entei, Cobalion, Uxie, Z Venomoth, Aromatisse, well, for just this week, because I'm dropping it, Stunfisk, Drampa, Mega DNZ, and Simisage. And our opponent for this week is Bob and Fishy and the Philly Shuckles, with a team comprised of Z Magearna, Latios, Heracross, Suicune, Decidueye, Drapion, Mudsdale, Thundurus, and Snorlax. So, the way I approached this build was, let's set up and win before Magearna sets up and just wins. So the first one we have here is Venomoth with the Buginium Z for a nice and powerful Savage Spin Out with Bug Buzz, Quiver Dance, Sub, and Roost with enough speed to outspeed Adamant Heracross because I wanted to be modest for the extra power, and so that was the fastest thing left on the roster that I could feasibly outspeed. And then next up we have Uxie, which will help all the setup sweepers, being very bulky and specially defensive, as well as holding the light clay for dual screens, U-turn, and then yawn to force some switches, since it's not going to be very threatening by itself, but it's just got to take hits and then get out to my sweepers. Speaking of the sweepers, we have Manaphy here with a simple Scald, Ice Beam, Energy Ball, Tail Glow coverage set to be able to hit everything on the team. The speed lets it outspeed Jolly Drapion, and Wakan Berry to allow me to not get revenged by Thundurus. And so it's max HP as well, so then I might either have the longevity or surprise live that hit. But otherwise it's going to break or hopefully win. Next up we have Cobalion, which is my only real defensive switch in, although it's more of a tank set, to again hit 319 speed for the same reason as Manaphy, to outspeed Jolly Drapion. And it has Close Combat, Iron Head, Taunt, and Stealth Rocks with the Chople Berry to make sure that Heracross can hopefully never lock into a move if it's Scarfed, as well as just help me better take on a potential Magearna that sets up, because it's either going to want to go for a fighting move or a fairy move, and so if it has to go Fleur Cannon, it's just going to lower its own special attack and hopefully not sweep me, or I can surprise live the fighting move and then hopefully knock it out. And now we have Landorus with the Life Orb, Dankforce obviously, because what else would you really need? And then running just 4 attacks, Earth Power, Psychic, Rock Slide, Knockoff, same speed to outspeed Jolly Drapion, and wanted to have this be both mixed attacking just because there is a lot of special bulk on the team with Snorlax and then a possible calm-minded up Suicune, so at least Knockoff and Rock Slide could maybe do some damage in the case that I need to get off some physical attacks, but obviously Earth Power and Psychic are going to hit most of the team and hit the team extremely hard. And then last we have Diancie, which I was totally fine with speed tying with Latios, because just to make sure I outspeed everything else. And I have Moonblast, Earth Power, Diamond Storm, and Calm Mind. Diamond Storm over Power Gem because, like I said earlier, with a lot of potential setup and just setup for special bulk in Calm Minds, or just especially bulky Mon such as Snorlax, I want to be able to wear it down whether it's got the special bulk or physical bulk invested. And now that we see what is being brought, I will rejoin you on the battlefield. And here we are in team preview, and Bob ends up bringing the Suicune, Mudsdale, Magearna, Snorlax, Latios, and Thundurus, which, at least based off of my setup in sweep, I'm gonna say that Magearna and Snorlax are really the biggest impediments to my ability to do so, since I am mainly relying on special attackers. So Snorlax is natural bulk, and then Magearna is just natural bulk, and typing really helps deter many of my sweepers, but worst case I can set up with one, break the team down a little bit, and then set up again and end up winning. So since I'm just going for a set up and win type of deal here, I'm going to lead with Uxie. And Bob leads off with his Latios, which he's going to go for the magic coat, as I don't go for rocks because I don't have it, I go for light screen. And noticing that I'm not rocks, or at least that I wouldn't be going for that, I'm going to U-turn out to see what he switches into, or even if he attacks, since that's my switch in for Latios anyway. So I go straight into the Manaphy, looking like this is a easy tail glow up. And that's what I do as he switches out the Mudsdale into the Snorlax. So I'm going to go for Scald just to gauge the damage, and it does like no damage. And he also has the red card. So then I get into Diancie, and he goes for Whirlwind. So then I'm going to get now into Cobalion, which is amazing for me. So I'm just going to get up my rocks, because I think a little bit of chip damage is the most important, as the Mudsdale is pretty obvious. So then I don't want to take an Earthquake for nothing. I'm going to go switch out into the Manaphy as he goes for his own rocks. And then I'm going to Tail Glow, and he stays in, but he goes for Roar. And so that's pretty disappointing, but it seems like I'm bringing setup spam against Roar and Whirlwinding team, but that's okay. I'm going to just set up the Reflect as the light screen's already up, as I know he's probably just going to roar me out. And I'm go into the Cobalion, but I don't want to take any unnecessary damage, so I'm going to go into my Landorus as he just roars yet again, so just expecting Mudsdale to take the hits. So this time, since I don't want him to roar me out yet again, I just go for the Scald immediately. Does nothing to Snorlax whatsoever. I'm going to go Scald again, just to scout out some more of the moveset, and he reveals the Recycle. So he's going to recycle that red card. I go for one last Scald, hoping that he doesn't have, or at least I guess forcing the rest really is what I know is going to happen, but hoping for a crit or anything just to get rid of this easily, but instead gets the rest off as he should. And I'm going to then taunt in case of Sleep Talk, but he switches right into the Mudsdale, which I think actually works out pretty nicely since he can't roar me out anymore. And so then I'm going to go Uxie on the expected Earthquake. I don't know what other coverage move he would have other than maybe a rock move, but can't really do much to me anyway. So I can go into Uxie, I can set up the light screen, and now as the Reflect is going to wear off, I can then set up the Reflect in the next turn, as then Snorlax is asleep, but goes for the Sleep Talk and gets Whirlwind, and gets me into my Landorus. So I'm going to Earth Power, gauge the damage, does some pretty nice damage, and then he's going to get the Sleep Talk Recycle and gets the red card. And so at this point I'm like, I do not want this red card to be such an issue anymore, so I'm just going to knock it off since he can't recycle it after it's been knocked off. And then he's going to go for the rest since it's obvious I was going to do plenty of damage but not KO. And so then now I Rock Slide, I get a crit. I mean, it's not a big, doesn't really do much damage anyway, but I just wanted to see the physical bulk and get some calcs, which it's just super bulky. And also at this point I realized it doesn't have any attacking moves, so I'm just gonna Quiver Dance up because it's got to get the 1 in 3 chance to get that Whirlwind. And then now that I'm +1, I know that a Savage Spin Out will kill this Snorlax, since Venomoth is the best, and of course it kills. So then he goes into Magearna, which is definitely the biggest threat. I go for the sub since I'm not sure what it's going to do, and I feel like it might not break my sub since I have the light screen up. But now the light screen wears off, I go for Bug Buzz. It does 26, which is decent damage. I just want to get damage off on this, but I do get the Spadef drop, which is huge. It's very huge at this point. That, like, where now I can 2-hit KO the Magearna, but if I wasn't able to 2-hit KO Magearna at this point, he set up a shift gear, but I'm also faster, so it's a pretty bulky set. I think it's ended up being max HP, max special attack modest, which does destroy my team, so this Spadef drop does matter quite a bit. However, my counterplay would have had to be just get more damage off with the next Bug Buzz, do maybe like 40% at most, to put it at 29%, as then the next hit doesn't kill me, you'll see in a sec, and then just Bug Buzz yet again to put it down to very low health. Actually, no, what I'm talking about, not 30%. It did like 26 was what I did the first time. So assuming I did 2 more 26% instead of what's going to end up happening, it would be down to around 18%, which then I'd need to probably sack another Mon to the potential Z move to find out what the coverage is, and then have Cobalion come in after most likely Yuxi being the sack to the Z move, then have Cobalion either surprisingly take the fighting move if he has Focus Blast, or take maybe a Floor Cannon so that at least it would be not +2 anymore, and then I could live a hit with something, most likely Manaphy. But since I do get the Spadef drop, instead I'm just gonna Bug Buzz yet again. Now it does 40, so it's in range, and the Flash Cannon does not kill me, gets the useless Spadef drop back, and so I actually just get rid of this Magearna very easily, and that's so helpful. But obviously for my opponent, that's absolutely terrible. So I'm just going to get damage off on the Mudsdale, does a nice 40%. He's going to knock me out with the Earthquake. And what this lets me do now is go into Yuxi to then just start the process up again and set up screens. So I'm going to start with a Reflect since Mudsdale is what's in right now. And then I can go into whatever I'm roared out into, which ends up being the Manaphy. Just throw off a Scald, because if he stays in, he's just going to go for Roar. So I'm not bothering with Tail Glowing, at least right now, and I do get the burn. So now that I'm in with Cobalion, it has 2 times defense, so otherwise I would at least try to do something, but he's just going to Earthquake, which I think is a misplay, especially if I was set up. But since I'm not, there's no point for me to stay in, and so then I can set up the light screen for the other threats, as I know he's just going to keep roaring me out. So once I get into something that can do something better, which I again get into Cobalion, which really can't do a whole lot to this other than taunt, which I will do so he can't roar anymore. And now I can potentially use this as a set of fodder, or it just forces a switch at this point, which I'm going to go into my Landorus as he goes into a Suicune, and I just going to go for the Earth Power. I don't need to predict anything. I have screens up. I'm not really concerned, and I just want to get a big hit off as he sacks the Mudsdale. And so then this lets him go into his Latios. So I'm perfectly fine with this going down, but he goes for Psyshock, which does nothing. Wouldn't even kill me without the screens anyway, and I go for the knockoff, get rid of the Tangaberry, as I also reveal the Life Orb that I'm sure was pretty obvious since I'm Dank Force. And so I'm going to just go into Yuxi. It's my dedicated switch into Latios anyway, as he roofs up to get up some health, and I go for the Yawn just to force a switch at this point. I don't care who it was on, even if it was Latios staying in, because then I can just U-turn right after the Yawn. I get a crit. It doesn't really matter that much. Like, it was going to die to the next hit regardless of what it was, and now I'm just going straight into DNC. I don't think it has a coverage move to kill me, so I'm willing to risk Speed Tie, because he went for Psyshock against Landorus, so I don't know what he was possibly packing. Like, he wasn't packing Surf or anything like that, I don't think. So then I go for Calm Mind on this Suicune, just to try to see what set he is, and it's also Calm Mind. So then I'm just gonna get a Moonblast off just so I can gauge the damage, but I get a crit. So that just ends the game, unfortunately. Where at least, you know, he could have tried to do something. Like, it would have been hard to break through my whole team, but then I just finish off the game with my Mega DNC for a pretty undeserved 5-0. Obviously the Magearna turns were the most important, and as Magearna wrecks my team as it wrecks every team. And so it's unfortunate that it had to end that way, but the Los Angeles Lookers did end up defeating the Philly Shuckles in week 1, as we are now 1-0 heading into week 2, and that's all you can ask for in a start. And I'm sure I will get haxed later on, as I deserve it since I haxed Bob very much so. And thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll join me for next week. Bye bye!